This is the SuperSport Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranchers.
1, 2, 3, go!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the SuperSport Schools podcast brought to you by Spur. My name is Alex White and Netball Fever is in the air. It's the Netball World Cup here in Cape Town. It's really exciting to have all the teams from across the world here. So we're going to touch a little bit on the Netball World Cup today, but more importantly, we're going to talk about schools netball. And if you don't know, it's one of the fastest growing and biggest growing sports on the SuperSport Schools platform. So I'm really excited to talk about it and discuss some of the nuances and intricacies of the sport that interest me as a sports stats and law mad person. But we'll get onto that a little bit later when we do the quiz. Before then, we're going to chat first to Zanele, who is a commentator with SuperSport Schools and SuperSport. She's working at the Netball World Cup, part of that all-female crew broadcasting the Netball World Cup around the world. And she's commentated on loads of the SuperSport Schools netball matches that we've had on the platform as well. Later, I'm going to chat to Carla, a player from Affies. We're going to talk about the season that Affies has had, and Carla shares some insight into schools netball, what it's like to be a part of it, and where she's looking to go in the future. This is the SuperSport Schools podcast brought to you by Spur. Let's get into it. Zanele, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Just to start off, can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Zanele Mdodana. I'm the head coach of Stellenbosch University, and I'm also an analyst for SuperSport at the Netball World Cup.
Awesome. I think just to start off, the Netball World Cup, you've been there over the first week that it's been on. Can you tell us a bit about that experience and why I'm sure it's so special?
Yeah, well, it's the first World Cup on African soil and South African soil. This is the 16th edition of a World Cup, and it's never been in Africa. It's never been in South Africa. So it's really awesome just having the biggest netball event in Cape Town, literally in our backyard. And I always say that I never thought I'd live to see this day, or I'd live to be part of something so spectacular and so special, and also made more special by the fact that we've got an all-female crew that's running the show here. You know, behind the scenes and in front of camera, women are just showing up, taking up, occupying space and doing amazing work. And we've been receiving such great feedback from, the viewers of the work that the women crew is doing. And I mean, just to know that the World Cup is we're getting international, we're sending out international feeds. So our work here in South Africa is being recognized internationally.
I think that's so special. And a couple of weeks ago, when I was up at MultiChoice, we were doing some recording for this podcast. We were told about the all-female crew, and I thought that was so cool. And it's the first of its kind, which is amazing. It's the first World Cup on African soil, as you said, which is also amazing. Being a part of it, I mean, are you just having a lot of fun? I'm sure obviously hard work goes into it. I know hard work goes into analysis, but I'm sure there's lots of fun as well.
Yeah, it's obviously it's hard work. You need to do your research. You need to be prepared because you're sending out, to the rest of the world, what's happening here. But more than that, it's so much fun. It's the vibe is unbelievable, and you connecting and with people that you don't know, people that you've played with before that are now part of the commentary crew and commentary team. You're building relationships and forging strong relationships and relationships that you can take forward outside of the World Cup. And it's been awesome meeting people and the fans when they come in here, filling up the arena. It's been unbelievable, especially when the Spar Proteas play. The support has been unreal. As
a coach of netball and as someone deeply involved in it, how special do you think this is and important to trickle down to the school level and the grassroots level of netball in South Africa? Because we do have a lot of schools netball, but this is something special to potentially take it to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect not to have the crowd in South Africa. Our fans are insane. They just propel and support the Spar Proteas to cross that finish line. They inject so much energy and positivity and the loudness in the arena. I mean, some of the international commentators are in awe of how loud and electrifying, that the atmosphere in the arena is. And that support is huge. It's so important. The singing, the chanting, the dancing, everything is here. Everything is happening here. And we as the sport operators are used to that. And some of the teams are struggling to adapt to that noise. But I think after 5 days, they've come to understand that this is what they're going to expect if they're playing the sport operators. And at school level, I mean, we've seen school sport, top schools happening, crazy atmosphere around those courts as well. I mean, I know I'm actually here working with Amanda Maynard, who is the head coach of Affies, and how they went out and won top schools this year, and what an amazing atmosphere that was. Such a brilliant performance from them, and they play that final against Gim, and I'm obviously from Stellenbosch, and Gim is in Paarl, just to see that support and seeing the crowds, and it just says that netball is well supported, and netball is on the rise. Schools netball is on a rise.
And bringing it to school netball specifically, you've done commentary for SuperSport Schools before, been involved in that, a coach at a university. How valuable do you think it is now that SuperSport Schools put so much netball out there, because it is one of the biggest sports on the platform? And I think some people were quite surprised by how quickly and exponentially it grew. And I think what does make it quite unique is that it is literally at school level, almost exclusively, it's a girls' sport. There is no boys' schools. Nobody plays netball. So it's quite unique in that way, but it has exploded on the platform. Yeah. Having SuperSport Schools as a coach, to be able to watch, to be able to look back on games and to talk to players, that sort of benefits you as a commentator. Just talk a bit about being involved in, I think we talk about it a lot for all these different sports post-COVID with this boom of SuperSport Schools. What's different and what's exciting?
Oh, what's exciting is the fact that we can see the girls. We can see, I mean, I don't have to be at a tournament to be able to recruit or scout. I can just go back onto the platform, check the games where, let's say, maybe Paul Girls was up against Orania, and I can look at the games. I can myself see the player. I don't need someone else to refer or say, I think you should look at this player there. I personally can go watch the games, and they're always there. They're always online, and that's really a massive, massive benefit. Because also, if you think about it, I'm a head coach. I've already looked for players for next year to come to Marty's, and if I'm uncertain about a certain player or someone who recommends someone to me, I can always go on that school sports platform to look at how that player is performing.
And then I think also it's always cool. We've asked this for different sports that we've had on the show. If you were to encourage someone to take up netball who might not have played it before, no matter how old they might be, what would you say to them to draw them into the sport?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, netball is a sport that opened doors for me at a very young age, and it put me on platforms that I never thought I would find myself on. I mean, I'm sitting talking to you now, and I'm on the world stage because of netball, and I'm meeting people that I will build relationships with forever, and I can get to experience other countries because of netball, and also because netball is it's well on its way of becoming a professional sporting code in our country. We see what the sport protests have done. We had contracted players. So we are heading towards netball becoming a career for a young girl, where that's what you do, and you get paid to do what you love. And that's also going to help us to become very competitive against the top teams that are playing netball at a professional level. So it's a sport. You can play it recreationally, you can play it competitively, and it's, I think, arguably the cheapest sport, really, because I mean, you need a ball. Yes, you do need netball shoes, but facilities there, and you can get going. It's not necessarily like cricket, where you need a lot of equipment to play. And I think a lot of work has been done to just profile how big netball actually is in our country. And every little girl plays netball. So it's just about saying, keep going, keep playing. Doors are opening. Things are changing. Things are becoming better. And this is a sport that you can one day see becoming a professional code in our country.
Awesome. And then I think something that I'd like to know, I've obviously been involved in a bit of commentary, not for netball. I always find it interesting. Do you have a favorite moment that you've been able to witness in commentary in school netball over the past year and a bit?
Oh my goodness, been too many. There's been too many.
Well, that's always
Uh,
good as well.
yeah. Well, yeah, when you have those really tightly contested games,
Yeah.
we had one the other day where it was La Rochelle up against Bloemhof, and that game went right down to the wire. And I've seen Oranje up against Bloemhof last year. That was just exciting because Bloemhof have never beaten Oranje, and then they came playing at home, and how the crowd supported them and helped them to really perform well and winning that game. So we've had moments where you've seen, you know, players just stepping it up and doing unbelievable things. The skill set some of these young players possess is actually it's unreal. So yeah, I've had many moments where you want to scream and shout. Obviously, you need to control yourself because you are in commentary, but the games have been so exciting, and you just can't help yourself because that's what exactly that moment deserves, So you actually give it that acknowledgement and applause that it warrants.
Zanele, thanks so much for joining us. Just before we end off, I would like to get from you your predictions for our Spar Proteas ladies over the next bit of the tournament. How do you think it's going to go? Obviously, between recording this and it going out, there is a match to be played, but interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so the Proteas don't play today. Tomorrow they play on Wednesday. They play New Zealand, and on Thursday they play Uganda. Yeah, those are going to be two tough games. I think we're going to have a bit of a tough time against the Silver Ferns, but I do believe that we will edge Uganda. Uganda beat us in the Commonwealth Games. So this is going to be a massive game for the Spar Proteas to prove that, they're not the team that went to the Commonwealth Games. They are far improved. And Uganda obviously want to show that what they did at the Commonwealth Games wasn't a fluke. They weren't just a one-hit wonder. They are coming all guns blazing against us. So it's going to be an African battle, and that's the one I'm actually looking forward to.
Awesome. Zanele, I'm going to let you get back to the incredible job you have covering this amazing tournament. Thanks so much for joining us, talking about netball and specifically talking about school netball. Anything else you want to add?
No, all good. Just happy to be at the World Cup, and the netball is amazing here, and it's a wide open competition. That I can tell you. It really boils down to what the teams do on a particular day. You can have the names on paper, but it needs to come together on game day. And we've really been seeing some surprises. I mean, Fiji beating Zimbabwe, that was a massive upset. And as we're heading closer to the business end, we are foreseeing a lot more upsets to be coming.
Great, Zanele, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Come on, wake up now. Who got zombie? Wake up now. Sequilatos cut. Wake up now. Who got my sign? Get up and go.
With 15 delicious breakfasts, Spur is the place to be until 11 every morning. Enjoy an unreal breakfast, still just $49.90. Spur, people with a taste for life.
Wake up now. Come on. Yeah.
Now, to find out a bit more about what it's like to actually play in schools netball at the highest level, we chatted to Carla from Affies.
I'm Carla Prinsley, and I'm a student at Affies, and I play for their first team. And yeah, I started playing netball when I was, I think, 7. So really small, mini netball. And yeah, I just went from there. And then we played mini netball up until grade 4. And then you start playing in the big leagues and stuff. And yeah, the primary school netball. So we were in a smaller primary school, so not that much of an opportunity. And then when I got to high school, I started and I played for the C team. So I started out there in the bottom, and then COVID obviously hit, and then it kind of put a dent in all our sports activities and stuff. And then when we came back from, I think I was grade 10, when everything started again, we started playing again, we kept practicing, and yeah, and then also grade 10 we played. I played A team then for the under 16As. We went to Gauteng. I think we came second, and then also we played in the SAs, and we did that tournament. And then I unfortunately got hurt at the end of my grade 10 year when I was playing in the provincial teams. So then I had a big knee injury. So grade 11, I didn't play. So I was out the whole year. I did rehabilitation, all that stuff, and I recovered from that injury. And then this year I played in the first team, and that's where we are now.
Wow, there's a lot in there. It's a story of progression.
Yeah.
I mean, from teams and in terms of the schools. So I think that's something that's always interesting with school sports is going from a small school, like you said, to one that's a powerhouse of sport, like Affies. What do you think the major differences are between being in that small school environment? Because sometimes you can have a bit more focused attention, but also then having less kind of competition means that it's more difficult to progress. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think in the small schools there is space for you to progress and to develop your skills. And I also think there's a lot of more time for you to focus on yourself a bit more. So if you want to improve your own skills, there's a bigger opportunity for you to do something like that. But also there isn't that much of a competition. So the team that you're playing in might not play against the other best teams or stuff like that. So
it might be the only team in the school.
Yeah,
as well.
it also there's maybe like 2 teams max in the school. So you won't get that much of an opportunity to play. And also it's I wouldn't say easier, but it's easier to get into a team because there is only 2 teams. So anyone that wants to play can get a chance. But then in a bigger school, you can improve yourself a lot better because you're playing against better people and you're in a bigger environment. So if you want to improve more, you have to work on yourself and you have to work harder to get where you want to be. And I think that's great motivation to improve yourself and to better your skills.
So that's the one progression. You've gone from a small school to a big school in quotation marks, yeah. But then also to go from, you say you started C team at Affies to go now into the first team. We hear stories like that. It's always a good story. So for you, what do you think made the difference?
I think grade 8, it was kind of just a bit of a shock. We were moving from small to big and there were a lot of people and trials. There's a lot of kids showing up. And I mean, there's from A to F teams. So you're just like, I just want to get a place. Someone just needs to see me and then I need to be there. And then it was a good place to start for me. I think it was the right thing for me. I started there. I could build my skill sets. It then gave me the opportunity to play netball outside of school. So I played action netball also because I had the time. And that, I think, also helped to develop my skills a bit more. I had also outside coaching a bit, that because I just wanted to get better, to improve my skills. So I think that was also one of the things that helped. I don't think I made a conscious decision like I was going to play in the first team one day. I just think I got better over time. And then when I realized I could actually make it into the first team, I was like, okay, now I'm going to go for it.
Going to work. Now, being part of that first team, being part of Affies, the year so far, the season so far, some of the highlights, how it's gone. I know it's been quite a good, successful season so far. So to just touch on a bit of that.
So we started our season off with the Prestige netball tournament that we host at our school. And we won first place at that one. And then we went to the Wilde Klaver tournament. So that's for all the sports. And we also won that one. And then we started playing the league. So that's the schools in Pretoria that we play against. We also won that one. And then I think it was just before school holidays, we played in the Gauteng tournament. We unfortunately came second in that one, unfortunately. But it was a good tournament. We played well as a team. And we then got the things that we needed to improve on. We worked hard. We practiced throughout the holidays. And then we're going to play the SA tournament this weekend. So we're super excited for that one.
Now, I mentioned at the start of the episode that obviously there is the Netball World Cup. So there's fever in the air, there is excitement. And I also mentioned that netball's a massive part of SuperSport Schools, and we've seen some incredible growth with the viewing numbers and the engagement on it. And I think maybe just to give a little bit of a crash course as we go into this discussion, talking a bit about the World Cup and all of that, for someone who's never watched netball, I think for me, the interesting things that I remember from when I first started watching netball, the things I've learned, obviously, if you watch netball, you figure out pretty quickly that once you catch the ball, you can't move. So that's a pretty quick thing you figure out. But the other things, it took me a while to realize that players have to stay in certain parts of the court. So maybe just to talk through that, some of the things you think people should know about netball if they're going to start watching, whether it's sport, whether it's going into this World Cup, but just for interest's sake.
Yeah, so one thing you mentioned is that you can't run with the ball. So that's one major thing. And then also you can't hold the ball for longer than 3 seconds. So you have to play the ball within 3 seconds. And then, yeah, so certain players can go on certain areas of the court. So it's a bit difficult to explain without. But like the shooters, the shooters will stay in 1/3 and the keepers will stay in 1/3. And then the wing attack, the goal attack, wing defense, goal defense, they'll play in 2/3 of the court. And then the only players that can play in the whole court is center, except they can't go into the shooting circles. And then the only players that can go into the shooting circles are the goal shooters and the goal attacks and their defense, if that helps a bit.
I think the thing you can gather from that is also that it means that it won't be all these players around the hoops, right? So it opens it up a bit, and things can happen very quickly. You can have a goal and then it shoots across the court to another one. I mean, stuff can happen quickly.
And then also another rule is you can't play a ball over 1/3. So you can't be in one shooter circle and play the ball across court into the other shooting circle. So that's one thing also. And then it is they call it a no contact sport because there is a no contact rule, but they bend the rules a little bit. They call it contesting. So it's not so like sweet and innocent anymore. We do push each other around a bit.
That was also something that I knew it was a no contact sport, and watching it I thought, no, there's a lot.
Yeah, so you can't like run into one another but you like rub up against each other
push and
and
shove
you like
and
push and shove a bit. And
contest. If I ever played netball, what I would really struggle with is the stopping, and not being able to run with the ball. So I think it's something you can take. Is it 1.5 steps or something? Like what's the technical jargon?
It's like if you land with 1 foot, you can pick that foot up again, but you can't put it down. So the foot that you land on, you can pick it up, but you cannot put it down again. So that's like it goes into 1.5 steps because you can put it down and then put another foot and then.
So you can almost step and release the ball before your foot goes down.
That helps with the speed of the ball. So a lot of players they call it a running step. So they run with the ball, but
you've released the ball before your foot goes down. Okay,
landing foot down. So that's so you can, and also in the goal shootings, in the shooting circles, a lot of the shooters will take a step closer, but 1 foot will be in the air. That's also so they can get closer to the post, but not make a stepping error. So that is one.
Okay. Just before we let you go, it's time for you to take part in our all-important SuperSport Schools podcast quiz.
Okay.
An update as it stands at the moment to hear Augusti, hockey player. She's at the top of the table with 13. And to get onto the table, you have to do better than, I think, 6 or 7. I think it's 6. You have to do better than 6 because our table, we don't have everyone. It only shows the top 6 or 7. There's no Tim today for you to compete against, so you're just playing for a position on the leaderboard. Very quickly, you get 60 seconds to answer as many questions as you can correctly. If you don't know, just say pass. We'll go to the next question. We can come back to a question if we need to. But sitting and umming and ahhing and eating up time isn't great.
Okay.
All right.
I'll try my best.
Cool. Carla, are you ready to play the SuperSport Schools podcast quiz?
Yes.
All right. Your time starts now.
Which city is the 2023 Netball World
Cape
Cup
Town.
host? Correct. What material were the first netballs made from?
Leather?
Correct. What was the name of the 2010 FIFA World Cup ball?
Oh no, pass.
Jabulani. True or false? SuperSport Schools runs a netball news and stats website.
True.
Correct. In rugby, how many points is a drop goal worth?
3.
Correct. Who won the 2023 Telkom Netball Championship?
Oh. Got the name?
You want to pass?
The Jaguars.
Western Cape Willows. In hockey, you can sub your goalie and bring on an extra player. Is that true or false?
True.
Correct. True or false? Netball is the second most popular women's sport in Australia.
True.
It's false. It's the first most popular. Whose name is given to the Rugby World Cup trophy?
Oh no, pass.
William Webb Ellis. To the nearest meter, how high is a netball hoop mounted?
4.
3. True or false? Netball is broadcast on channel 216.
False.
It's true. How many sections is a netball court divided into?
3.
Correct. Okay, we'll give you that one on the buzzer. All right. Not bad. I'm going to just count quickly. 6. Was it 6? Okay, well then I think if you got 6, you might be on our leaderboard, but that's definitely in terms of the players that we've had and not the old people who know lots about the sport. I think after Tahira, that's I think our second highest one. I mean, Tahira was just an outlier, an anomaly. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for chatting about netball in such great detail, and obviously you're passionate about it. It's super exciting to see where it's going, and I'm excited to see how this World Cup continues to play out. And good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And wishing you all the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us on another episode of the SuperSport Schools podcast brought to you by Spur. New episodes are out every Wednesday at 7 on DSTV channel 216, followed very shortly thereafter online. That's on YouTube. You can watch it and you can listen to the show wherever it is that you get your podcasts as well. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
This has been the SuperSport Schools podcast, bringing you stories of our future stars, powered by Spur Steak Ranchers.
And now the podcast from Joy